talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In your favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for another edition of our Monday Night Roundtable, coming to you live following the Alexander Skarsgård and Cardi B episode of Saturday Night Live, Season 51, Episode 12. My name is Jon Schneider from the SNL. So excited to be back with you on this Monday to talk through everything we saw in this fabulous episode of Saturday Night Live, the 1000th episode of the show. We are here, of course, as a presentation of LateNighter.com, and we have three amazing guests on the show here tonight, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the live chat thinks as well, so get your comments in there. Joining us first is the incredible Amanda Barkin. Amanda, how are you?
I am good, John. It has warmed up a little bit in New York City. It cracked just over 20 degrees today. I am making my Season 51 Roundtable debut. I think the first time talking to Rich and James this season. Really excited to break down, to have like more. I've really ingested the episode. I've read some things online. I've engaged with the comments. This is a whole other beast for me. So I'm really looking forward to diving deeper than we do on Saturday nights.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you here for the Monday show. So looking forward to getting your thoughts on this one. And joining us as well is the awesome Rich Tackenberg. Rich, how are you?
I am good. I mean, if I wasn't good, could I really complain? I'm in LA. It's 80 degrees. So I'll just shut my mouth and say everything's good.
Good. I'm very glad that you get to enjoy this year after year. Very jealous of you, Rich. And joining us as well, I'm so happy to have this guy back on a roundtable. I believe it's been many years since you've been on a roundtable with us. And we said, you know what, for the 1000th episode, let's get James Stevens back live with us. So James is here on a Monday night. James, how are you?
I am well. Live show and unscripted show. This is a pleasant welcome back. Please have me back for the 2000th episode too, John.
I absolutely will. And you know we'll be there to cover it. I was just looking back through, I have this insane document of all of our podcasts. I was just looking back, James. I believe the last official roundtable that you did do with us was the season 46 post-season roundtable. So you were one season in for these, and then that was it. So you were on with Rich as well and Darren. So it's very exciting to have you here, James.
The last time, well, remember, I actually met Rich in person on New Year's Day. I don't know, 4 years ago.
4 years ago, yeah.
4 years.
Did I chase you off the roundtable, James? Is your one?
No.
So bad.
No.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you live here, James, with us. Of course, as you may know, if you follow some of the other shows we do here on the channel, James joins us for all of our SNL stories where we get to speak to alumni and we have some great conversations and interviews with them. And then, of course, our Everything You Need to Know About Saturday Night Live series that we have done 24 episodes so far. And James is working away to finish season 25, which hopefully we'll have up for you in just a couple of weeks. So excited to break this one down with you, James. Since it is your first time joining us during the season, I'd love to just start with you and know how you're feeling about season 51 overall, James.
It's had some ups and downs. I listened to your roundtable a week ago with the previous show, and you guys were great. I shared this with you. Spot on. You called the show out in the ways that you needed to, especially related to the political humor. And I'm sitting there 2 days ago on Saturday night watching the live episode going, oh my God, did the show listen to the podcast or watch? Because it seemed, I mean, I don't know that they did, but it seemed like they were responsive. And so I was really, really excited. I did think last week, you asked about the season 51. I did think last week was probably one of the weaker moments for the reasons that you called out. Again, the political stuff. I've really liked the writing. I don't know if it's a brand of some of the new writers that are in there, but I'm also excited to really talk about this particular episode because I think it's a fun one.
It will be fun. So we're going to talk about the cold open, all of the major storylines and the developments that we saw this week. But first, let's get into Alexander Skarsgård, who was booked for this episode. And I want to have an all-encompassing conversation about him as a host, him being booked for this show and the fact that it was the 1000th episode of Saturday Night Live. So, initial thoughts for a long time was like, okay, I remember starting this podcast and sort of doing the math on it. I'm like, hey, maybe the 1000th episode will land somewhere during the 50th season of the show. And then due to the strikes and, certain other reasons, perhaps COVID, they limited some of the episode counts for seasons, and then it fell into season 51. And it's been a year full of celebrations. So part of the logic of not booking this huge host and having this big bash is, we've done a lot of this over the last year, but Alexander Skarsgård was there to celebrate the occasion. And Amanda, I would love to know from you how you felt about him being booked for this show, both as himself and then for the 1000th.
So as himself, I couldn't be happier. This to me seems like a very easy booking decision for the show. I'm surprised I wouldn't be surprised if they've tried to get him in the past. I was a big True Blood fan, although I honestly don't remember anything about it, so I couldn't really speak that much about it. But I know that I loved it, and I know that I loved Alexander Skarsgård, and I love him in pretty much everything he's ever been in, most recently in Succession, and he's got that, especially from his character in Succession, that kind of vibe of like someone who's like a very serious actor, but also goofy, and his characters are kind of crazy and he's down to clown. So I knew that he would be really good at Saturday Night Live. I thought that it would be kind of like an Adam Driver-esque episode. I was really excited. I had a feeling there'd be a Stellan. I was hoping for a Bill. I don't know. But overall, I was extremely excited for Alexander Skarsgård, and more than that, excited for the Alexander Skarsgård Cardi B pairing, because that to me is like an excellent SNL combination, especially like middle of the season. For the 100th episode, I think that
1000th.
I'm sorry, numbers are not my strong suit.
Don't sell them short.
For the 100th episode of Saturday Night Live, I have a feeling that the three of you are going to have stronger thoughts than I do about what they should have been thinking about in that booking. I had the sense that we're coming off the 50th season, tons of fan service and history. We got Amy Poehler for the literal like 50, the anniversary of the first show. So I thought that they had kind of done what they were going to do this year, and I wouldn't have been I would not have been surprised had they not mentioned it at all, but obviously they did. But I will pass it off to you three, because I already know that you have stronger feelings about the significance of the moment and how the host booking should have played into that.
Yeah, I have very strong feelings about this, but I will go last. So, Rich, I want to send it to you. You've been a longtime fan of this show. How did you feel about him being booked for this episode?
So I'm going to take out the 1000th for a second. So I, in a vacuum, saying, all right, season 51, we're booking Alexander Skarsgård. Great. I cannot think of anything I've ever seen him in I did not like him in. That said, in this pairing, in this grouping, we booked three dramatic actors, first-time hosts, no live comedy experience. So we've got Finn, we've got Tiana, and then we've got Alexander. And I was very nervous about this month. I thought this was going to be a rough month. And I understand where you're looking at, people, Stranger Things ending and One Battle After Another getting nominations. So it all made sense from a booking talent perspective, but I was very nervous about having three first-time dramatic actors going into the month. I think my fears were well-founded, but we may disagree on that. So I thought that was my concern. For the 1000th, I will say I was like the anniversary. I was very surprised that the NBC marketing department did not say, hey, SNL, let's make a little thing of this. Let's try to get a little bump, a little boost. And it would have been an opportunity for SNL to look back at the 50th and go, that kicked ass. That was amazing. Is there anything we didn't do that we thought, is there anyone that we didn't get a chance to highlight, to feature after the fact that we could use this moment to book? So I did think it was a missed opportunity. I wouldn't be surprised if the SNL booking department and executive producers, including Lauren, didn't even really think about the fact that it was the 1000th until after it was booked.
Yeah, that's interesting. I had this debate with James a little while ago. We were texting on the side a few months ago about how SNL would ultimately address it. And I was like, how could they not find something? Like the exact thing that you're talking about, the needle you're trying to thread, Rich, is like, what could we do to celebrate the show that they didn't already do last year? Like in my mind, I was going through all the percolations of like, well, Dana Carvey was supposed to be there for the 50th and he got sick. And then him, being there last year, maybe he comes back and hosts and joins the Five Timers Club. Maybe we finally get Steve Martin tying Alec Baldwin's record. Like I was thinking about all of these things that they could possibly have done. And James sent me a text months ago, if you don't mind me saying, which was like, they're probably not going to mention it. And I was like, well, so James, I would love to know how you feel about Alexander Skarsgård being booked for this episode and what we ended up seeing with the 1000th.
Oh yeah, I'll follow in Rich's footsteps by starting with Skarsgård to just say, loved him in Succession. Never really. I should go and watch True Blood. I guess everybody loves it, and I haven't seen it. So I was excited, and I kind of thought he would be a decent host, or at least bring on the silly. You know what I mean? Because I think he did at least make an appearance in like Drunk History, and I think one of the documentary nows. So I sort of had that in my mind, thinking that he would probably be silly. But to the 1000th, Rich said something about being maybe disappointed, or maybe we were I was not expecting it, because I just feel like love the show, but they don't think like that. And that's why I texted you forever ago, John, to say they probably won't even mention it. That was my way of going, it's not a priority. So when he got booked for the 1000th, I was like, yep, that makes sense. They're not, bringing in a SNL familiar face. But I didn't overthink it. I mean, in my would I have loved to see a more celebratory show? Sure, but I am at least thankful that they made mention of it and that he pulled out his little thing and said 1000th episode. So it's quite a feat, right?
Yeah, for sure. Let me play that moment for you guys.
I am incredibly excited to be here tonight because we are celebrating 1000 episodes of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that
Did
was
everyone notice? Like, it looked like he had it in his hand and pretended to pull it out of his pocket.
Yes.
Yes, that was a
Yep.
nice subtle moment there. So I want to talk about what they did in the monologue. Let me just sort of say my final piece on this whole thing, which is that I hated that they booked Alexander Skarsgård for this episode. I am the one who is screaming from the rooftops of like, celebrate these moments while you have them. I know that there is such a thing as too much celebration. I completely understand it, but you don't always get these type of milestones. And yeah, maybe you don't want to do something for the 250th or 750th episode, but 1000, like not many television shows get to 1000 episodes. So for me, it feels so monumental to do that. And you think about all of the people that we spoke to last year at the 50th who were saying, well, when I came here for SNL 25 or SNL 40, I was doing it for me, but this time I'm coming for Lorne. Because you never know when the next time they're going to get to do this. And I'm sort of like, well, here's another occasion where we get to celebrate a guy who was here for almost 1000 episodes, and to do something to mark the occasion. And I was disappointed that they booked him, but from what I saw on Saturday, I was incredibly impressed at the foresight of finding a guy who was willing to embrace the moment and then celebrate people who did not get their shine during the 50th. And like with all the documentaries, all of the big moments, the SNL band was not celebrated in the way that they could have been last year. So this was unbelievably cool to get him talking to members of the band, really introducing them to a modern day audience, considering how much they were involved with the show for many past eras. And having this moment of making this monologue feel special and one we will always remember. So I am very grateful for what we ended up seeing. And I do want to go back to you, James, because I know how, much of a band geek you are. And this is, part, SNL stuff aside, band is your life. So this must have been a really special moment for you.
I love the SNL band. When people go, do you love the SNL band? or do you love the comedy? Yes. So it was very cool for the lights to go up and have Alexander let the little people cook in Willy Wonka fashion, right? It was so fun. Oh, well, I know this actually because Jeff Countryman, should I say that, shared with me that Alexander, the host, on Tuesday night pitched this idea to make it around the band.
Wow.
So the host was like, hey, I want to do this. And then learned that on Thursday when they started rehearsals, Jeff Countryman became involved in playing the saxophone. So if you don't know, Jeff Countryman has been with the show for probably, I think it's about 25 years or something like that. Started as an intern as the band librarian. He still is the band librarian. Over the years, he has subbed on saxophone, either alto sax or bari sax, never tenor because Lenny's always there, right? One of the shows I've been at, Alex Foster wasn't there, and Jeff subbed for him. And most recently, Jeff, you'll see his name in the credits as sound effects guru. He is so talented. He writes music, he plays music, and has this tech side to him that is like no other. Like his skill set is just like, a Swiss Army knife of sorts. So he's the guy who you hear playing when Alexander's faking it, which, by the way, he doesn't even try. His hands are backwards and it's all goofy or whatever. But I loved the fact that he went over to James Jennis, the bass player, and you got to hear his voice say his thing. Lenny looked so unamused. Classic Lenny. And then Maddie Rice to get the comment there about her guitar, being the woman guitar player. I loved it.
It was just a truly great moment. Amanda, what did you think of the band monologue we got here?
I thought it was really fantastic. And I will say that it also, hearing that makes me even more endeared to Alexander Skarsgård, that it was his idea and that he pushed for that. But I thought that something that was really interesting was that he was able to endear himself to the audience and introduce himself in a really non-traditional way through featuring the band. Like, I think his energy and his stage presence was strong enough that you got up there and you were automatically kind of into him. You were picking up what he was putting down, even though he didn't get up there and say, I'm Alexander Skarsgård and here are the 3 things that I've done. And here's a joke about my most recent project. And by the way, I've always loved Saturday Night Live. Like, he didn't need to do that. He got up, he was goofy. Like he was just like, he was playing like a kind of the persona that I expected him to play. And I really liked it. I thought that it was really different. It's the kind of thing that you would expect to see from like Steve Martin or like Martin Short, someone who's like comfortable around the show and is like fine, like kind of playing like an asshole off the back, but like, only halfway, like not a true asshole. And I thought it was a really just a good way to introduce him and also get to do that. I knew that John and everybody else would be very happy with the tribute and, focusing on the band and the history of the show and these people that have been there, not for 1,000 episodes. I also, by the way, think SNL is probably the only show that's ever had 1,000 episodes, not just like one of. Okay, we can.
I feel like there's like a lot of other style shows that definitely have hit 1,000, but I just like, there's no sketch comedy show that's ever gotten to 1,000, clearly.
Anywhere near it, right?
Yeah.
I would say
The genre of like of the daytime talk shows or soap operas, General Hospital or something like that, right?
Yeah, or like Price is Right, like that type of thing. You would think like those types of shows would get there, but still, I mean, there's so much more that goes into preparing for a show like this that just the feat of 1,000 show weeks is incredible to think about.
Right. A scripted, for the most part, show like that's absolutely insane. But yeah, I really loved it. I thought the energy was amazing off the bat. I was glad they didn't bring in a bunch of cast members. I was kind of glad for the no cameo. He looked amazing. I love that suit. He's the tallest, most handsome man I've ever seen, and was just like immediately down.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Rich, what did you think of the monologue?
Yeah, I mean, first up, I love the fact that we mixed it up. I mean, that alone, table stakes, just mixing it up was great. Just to do something different was fantastic. And agree, even if you're not a diehard fan of SNL like us, and you're watching, even if you're just watching the monologue on YouTube, the band becomes part of the set dressing, and they are so integral to the show. I mean, my favorite thing is in the Good Nights on Peacock when you get to see the shots from the band of Lenny blasting the sax. I mean, that song still sends chills up my spines, not because of the band. They're so good. So I agree. I thought this was a really fun way to start the show. Fun way if you're not a comedian, you're not great in front of a live audience because that's not your experience, to do something so different and so silly that you actually got hard laughs without having to deliver jokes off a cue card into a monitor in front of a live audience. So and the band was just great. Everyone in the band was great. I even loved at one point they showed an angle shot where you get to see the back drums and Leon and a couple of people that you don't normally see with the straight on shot of the band. So loved everything about it.
Hey, speaking of Leon, you made me think of this. Rich, do you ever watch the there's that live stream of the cold open through the monologue? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Rich is not like a social media guy, so I don't know that he would know this, but essentially when they film the cold open, there's a feed that they post online where they show the control room actually watching the cold open through the Live from New York, and then they transition into them removing the cold open set, which is typically on home base, and show them preparing for the monologue.
I've seen some clips, but no, I haven't seen that. That's great.
So during that, because I always try to watch that, what's her name? Grace on the props. She's going up there to put that glass of water on the Hammond organ where Leon sits. So it's like, ooh, there's a prop. And I just have to say, I love that moment where he's playing the saxophone and he just has to take the drink of water because it's just so sort of dorky.
Yeah, that was really, really cool. It did remind me a lot of the Bruce Willis monologue. I believe Bill mentioned this on Saturday, the one that we got at the start of season 15. So that's a cool one if you guys want to go back and check that one out. But overall, this was really, really great. And I'm very thankful to Saturday Night Live for putting it together in the way that they did. Let's go back and talk about the cold open that we had here this week, which was, as James alluded to earlier, a very interesting development because last week, we did the first annual Trumps. Not a lot of talk about what was happening in Minnesota on a really hard day for a lot of people. And this time they decide to change it up. We don't get to see James as Trump for one of the first times this season. And instead, we're going to bring in Pete Davidson to play Tom Homan, the border czar that is sent to Minnesota to sort of clean things up. And we're going to look at life from the perspective of the ICE agents who are there to figure out what's really going on. They're not sure why they're there. And as James said,
this could be wrong, but Army?
Yeah, James Austin Johnson in a different role this time, opposite of Pete Davidson. But a lot of fascinating moments in this one. Amanda, I'd love to know how you felt about how SNL handled the cold open this week.
Okay, how I think they handled it versus how I felt about the cold open.
Well, tell me both.
Okay, I loved the cold open compared to other cold opens. I was really, really craving a week off from James's Trump. I was obviously pretty much at this point demanding that they do something to meet the moment. So I was glad that they did it. You know me, I am always thrilled to see Pete on the screen. A little bit confused. He doesn't look anything like him. I really would love to know. I don't know, James, if you have inside info about how the hell that came to be. I would really love to know the background conversations. Obviously, we know Pete has a Netflix podcast, but now podcasting is a visual medium. I guess we're podcasting right now on screen, but he has a podcast talk show coming out. They don't promote it explicitly, obviously. I don't know how he came to play him. Anyway, he was fantastic. Maybe the best sketch performing he's ever done, which is fascinating in and of itself. So really excited about that. Thought that the writing was really great. I laughed actually probably more than I have in a cold open in a very long time. I thought that, Mikey Day just saying Wild and Out with Mikey Day and Pete, that's just, to me, that's beautiful, like that, like could almost make me cry in that kind of reference. Other thing, like,
Okay, real quick, when he said, is that wilding out? I know what that means, but also is that a nod to that show?
Yeah,
right?
they were both
that he
on
was
Wilding
on.
Out. They both, and Pete was as well on MTV. They both were. I think they met there. I mean, I assume they met there. That just, I just loved that. That was brilliant to me. Whoever wrote that actual line, the preemptive force line, I thought was really funny. I thought one of Ben Marshall's biggest laughs, maybe one of his only big moments of the night, I thought was very funny of them saying they didn't have tickets to the Super Bowl, but Ben was like, so we're playing in the Super Bowl? That made me laugh. In terms of whether or not I think it was enough, I don't know. It's a little bit hard. I maybe if they were responding directly to the SNN saying that they need to do something about Minnesota, it's a little bit hard when you're a week late. It's a little bit hard when your take is the take that everybody, in your space has. That's not to say, I know that people don't agree, but it's not, I'm like dying for like a little bit more edgy commentary at this moment in time from Saturday Night Live. And I don't know if I'm going to get it. And I don't know if that's fair of me, but that's really what I'm wanting. I mean, I think that it was all very funny and like very on the nose. I'm looking for it to go a step farther. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's fair. I certainly said my take on that last week, where I do feel like there needs to be some dedicated political writers who can take things a little bit further. I am very thrilled with what we got here compared to everything we've seen before. And, I think James's impression of Trump is obviously, historic and fantastic. It definitely felt great to take a break from it for a week. So that was refreshing in itself. But I think I wrote down what I would have wanted the cold open to be last week, and it was virtually this.
Right, but then if it's a week later, it has to be more. I feel like you have to make. If it had come a week earlier, I think that I would have
I'm with you.
liked it more. I think that I don't know. Let's see. Maybe next week.
It's also tough because depending where you are, the temperature of the moment has like gone down a little bit. Obviously not for people who are maybe living in Minnesota and experiencing things on a day-to-day, but I think like just nationally or internationally, it feels like the story was a lot hotter last week, clearly. So it's also tough for them to be like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? Rich, I would love your take on it.
Yeah, so echoing a lot of what was already said, interesting booking. You're right. Pete Davidson couldn't look less like him. Now, I did think in this environment, if you're going to do a cameo, which I think was a good idea to kind of give it a little gravitas to the moment that we're talking about, in this environment, I don't think you're going to get a lot of celebrities come on to play, a member of the government right now, unless it's an alumni. So it made sense to me that they're like, okay, who's in New York, who's going to say yes, who's willing to say, I don't care if there's blowback from the right, it doesn't matter to me. Pete was a good choice. I was nervous as heck about how he was going to be as a performer, although I think I have said that I think, in the last few years, his Chris Cuomo impression, we started to see the fun side of Pete that I don't think we had seen prior. So yeah, for what this was, I thought this was a very good sketch. I really enjoyed the sketch. I thought the writing was good. I thought Pete was good. I like you played that quote from JAJ, but I think the fact that they made this little mini runner of this could be wrong, but then they did it a second. This could be wrong, but Don Lemon, and then
here I'll play that line, Rich, just so that the listeners can remember this.
Keeping America safe from what? This could be wrong, but Don Lemon.
Yeah. I thought that was very funny. I thought, and then giving him the final line where they're kind of saying like, oh, so you hired a bunch of angry, aggressive guys, gave us guns, didn't train us. Maybe this is what you thought you wanted to happen, or maybe however he said it. Like, I thought that was a nice tag to that. So overall, I thought this was a great break from the Trump. I thought it was really funny. I think, to Amanda's point, I think the challenge is when you have something that is so polarizing, I don't know what the inspired joke is beyond what everyone else is already saying. So I think it is a bit in execution. And I understand that I think SNL is in a place where they do have to pull some punches sometimes, whether they want to admit it or not. I will say putting Keenan as one of the ICE members is pulling punches, and I'll leave it at that. But overall, I thought it was really funny. The thing that kills me with these sketches is that the physical live sketch necessity of having to have Pete on a different stage as everyone else kills the comedy. And in a cold open, I wish that in 1,000 episodes, someone in 8H hasn't gone, I've thought of another way to shoot press conferences where the actors can be on the same stage and we can get the cameras such that we don't have to do this. Please, please, SNL prop camera stage managers, crack this fucking nut for us.
You know what's so funny about that, Rich, is that's so true. They can't think beyond their own scope, because every think about the Will Ferrell dinner, the dinner thing where they all get up feisty. What's that called, John? Where they're I drive a Dodge Stratus.
Yeah, dysfunctional family dinner.
Or any kind of 4-person at the table. Think about it. They always have it on a theater set with 4 people facing out. Nobody sits like that. They do it for the blocking. Why can't you then block this in a way that, anyway, I'll stop.
Well, I have the answer, which is that, so I was going to say, and I'm so glad you set me up for this, which is that that was the one thing I didn't like. I know why they did it, not only because it's probably easier to do, but also I think Pete plays really well to camera. I don't think his best skill is communicating with others in sketches. I think he's really good talking to the audience. But so I think this was good for him. But I think that if in the perfect world, this is very similar to the Phil Hartman sketch of You Aren't Coming Back. If you remember that one, where he's across from all of the army rangers and he's telling them that they're about to go out to war. And he's explaining to them that they're like, hey, soldier, you're not coming back. And they're all finding out that they're going to die when they go off to war. And it is blocked in a way. I'll try and find a picture of it while I go over to James, but it's blocked in a way where Phil is on one side of the screen, angled and talking to a group of men all standing there opposite of them. And I feel like that would have been perfect for this. James, your thoughts?
Pass. Oh, I can't pass. No, I had to tag in on Rich's thing only because I hadn't really thought about it. I mean, I know that's how they block those types of things. But John, your point is well taken. Because Pete's confidence, my feeling that when I watched it Saturday night was I've never seen Pete this confident before. So I moved beyond the fact that he didn't look like Tom Homan, and just I enjoyed the sketch because it was different. I think when Amanda, John, Rich, each of you had said something about James not playing Trump, and I don't necessarily believe that we are genuinely, literally tired of his Trump. We might say that, but I think what it's really at play is we're tired of unoriginal ideas. Because Rich, when you used to watch the show live and it was Dana Carvey in the Oval Office week after week, I feel like, or Hartman playing Clinton, we were like, all right, give it to me, because it was fresh. And again, it's to the points that John made last week on this roundtable, which is the political writing. You have to, like, even if it was Trump, you got to take him out. If you can't think original, like, why can't it be there? There has to be some break room or lunch place in the White House. Why can't he go in there and do his thing? I don't know. But John, I really love how you called the political things for being what it was last week. I'm with Amanda a bit on the, I was enjoying it so much that it was different, that it was fresh. So I had just a great time observing it in real time live. But I do wish there was a way, and I hear what you're saying, Rich, about how it's very, very hard in this environment, in this ecosystem, what have you. But I really wish that there would have been some comedic, moments or delivery that were like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, just make us a little bit more uncomfortable. Though I don't know what those would be. I'm not the writer there, but I was pleased with it just being. No, I will say this: since Rich is talking about the blocking, I will say, I'm so freaking tired of just saying, and live from New York, it's Saturday night. In the same way that I used to come on here, John, and say, I hate when like everybody in the sketch just runs up there and says it. Why can't it be part of like the question or something where I don't know. I know I'm being really picky right now. But I just don't like, line, and live from New York. Like, it's like, there's no effort into it. I wish that it could be part of a statement.
Okay. All right. I mean, I love all those takes. It's very fair. I just want to put up on screen a couple of screenshots from that sketch that I was referring to, just to show an example of the blocking here. So it's just two different versions or two different angles of that sketch, where you see Phil Hartman on the right side of the screen talking to the rest of the soldiers, where they're sort of bunched together in a group as he's explaining something to them. And they're all angled in like this sort of semicircle that I think could have worked for something like this and would work on one set. We don't necessarily have to split up the arbiter of the sketch from everybody else.
And that's a great sketch. Everybody should go check it out. And on that point, you just made me think of Rich, John, didn't Melissa McCarthy, when she was on the podium that would run people over? Similar,
Good
right?
point. Yeah. Yeah. I think that was in the same, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. That was that as she was just running people over the podium. But yeah, overall, I am pretty pleased with what we got here. So I don't want to take away some of the good things that they did from everything.
Is this the most negative I've been ever on this, John?
No, well, you know what? I'm proud of you for you're coming out of your shell, James. Okay, let's talk about some of the sketches from this episode that we want to dive into. And James, I will send it back to you. Which sketch are we going to talk about first?
We're going to talk about Mom Confession. Because first off, I am just loving Ashley's, all the different roles that she's playing. And this is one of those things that, spoiler alert, I had to really think. I know that at the end of our thing today, John's going to go around and ask everybody who their MVP is. And I had to really think long about you can't do Mom Confession without Ashley. Now let's get into sort of the premise of the thing, which is there are so many, whether they're Republicans or Trump supporters or people who literally enjoy or for a period of time were responsive to his business sense, that are literally now going, okay, this is too much. And they're having these same conversations. And a lot of times it just happens to be the mother figure, father figure. And so it's very relatable, I think, to so many people that this would happen. What I loved about it is, now I will say Alexander's part as the dad seemed a little odd. Like it was his birthday, but it was like, is he playing like he's sick, or like, what's the voice? And I'm just like kind of confused as what's going on there. But there's so many little levels of nuance beyond the general. It wasn't one note. I mean, the most important comment was about, here's this mom saying, I don't know, I may have changed my mind about Trump, or however she says that. I don't know if you've got the clip, John, or not.
Yeah, here. So I'll just set it up a little bit in clips for you, James, and then I could finish your thoughts on it. So essentially, it's a slow build up we get from Ashley, but she says this at first.
I'm only going to say it if after I do, you promise you will not react.
So she sets that up that there's going to be this like big surprise, and she's going to say this.
Is I may have changed my mind about Trump.
And then, of course, she's going to continue on and say,
You want this to be real or not?
So yes, James.
So
ahead.
I love the nuances though. Like there's a whole couple moments about I promise not to react, and she says that I eat bugs, and then my butt fell off. I can't find my butt, and they're all like, "What the hell is going on?" Like I just thought it was like just really funny, strange, funny, haha for me. But then he's bad for our country. The thing about everything about what was it? She says about guns. Like there are different types of. Not everybody's on the way people talk about guns is different for different people or whatever. Was so funny.
James, you're past your microphone, so I just want to make sure that we get.
All right.
everything. Yeah.
She talks to the part that that Jane is playing, right? And talks about when she came out. And she's like, what was the like? Do you remember what you said or something like that? Yeah. Is it just possibly that you like hats? Like there's these little moments that they're taking us on that I think were just so fun. There's the Melania movie that was in there, and then I love the part where she gets mad at the kids and just everything with your what was it your macho
Macho Hamilton.
Yes,
And your IUDs, yeah.
And your IUDs just have kids already, whatever, right? Like, I mean, there's just so many. So it's great on the one premise, but I love that there's these nuanced, just silly moments in there. That's all.
There's so many great things about this. I will say front to back after rewatching this again, I think this is the best sketch of the season. I think it is so well written, so well performed. Ashley I don't even know what her prime is because she keeps getting better and better, but clearly just so dominant and so confident in the way that she could toy with the audience, toy with her family. I think there's a lot of things to love in this one. Amanda, how did you feel about it?
I loved this sketch, and I loved it even more on the rewatch. I thought this was a really interesting. This is the first sketch of the night, right?
First sketch post monologue, yes, correct.
First sketch, yeah, really fascinating. I immediately was like, oh, they heard the SNN commentary about putting something a little bit more biting or political last, should be up front, and they took that. Although it didn't end up being that biting, I guess. I thought it was fantastic, but it is an Ashley Padilla show. I think that she's really unbelievable at playing a woman on the verge, and she has many different shades of that. We've seen her play so many different types of exasperated women, which is kind of incredible. Like, I think she's at this point a dramatic actress. Just even like the line reads, like little things where she said something like, when they calm down, she's like, fine, then I will speak. Like that, like cracked me up. And it was just like kind of a throwaway line, but it was just in her delivery. It was so fantastic. I think like beat by beat, the escalation. I was a little bit confused about Alexander. Like, why wouldn't he just be one of the kids? They didn't really need the kids were kind of interchangeable to me in that they were all clearly on the same page and had these conversations with their mom. I also felt like they were getting really angry. Like there were certain rage baity things that she said, like when she said nobody could have predicted this, like that I feel like would have made me personally fly off the handle. But other than that, you're kind of like, yeah, it was really really fantastic. This is a nitpick. It frustrated me that they just threw in one thing from every category that you could possibly complain about Trump. It was kind of across the board, and I feel like they could have gone harder on something. It was just kind of the guns, or turns out trans people are not the problem. Turns out drag queens are kind of funny. It was I feel like you could have gone a little bit deeper with those nods to things, to the fear mongering that we've now been experiencing for 10 years. But that's my only complaint. I think that the structure and just Ashley's performance and all of it was incredible. Very fascinating that this would be the best, in the running for best sketch of the season, when it's pretty high concept and there's no props, there's no, it's very pretty simple. But I agree, I think.
Yeah, it has that thing that I noticed, and like, because I'm really in tune with looking at the YouTube videos to see like which sketches are catching on, and oftentimes sketches with the most views tend to be more political. So there is naturally that in this sketch, but also there's ones that like aren't overtly obvious that they would go on to be a viral sketch, and those end up being them, a la, let's say, like a Washington's Dream from a few years ago that ended up just being so big because the writing was so well done. And I think that's what happened here, where this sketch is just moving up in the views because everyone's talking about it and everyone's sending it to each other. Like those are the great sketches of all time, the ones that everyone can relate to in some sense. And I will say, before I get Rich's thoughts on this sketch, that I think that there's a lot of commentary on like Alexander's role and the kids and all that. I think that I can relate to this with my parents, not in the Trump sense, but in the fact that I have a mom who is very opinionated and sometimes with lovingly doesn't always like to admit that she's wrong. And I have a dad who will sometimes just sit there and listen to the whole conversation as we're having this debate. And I think there is like this family dynamic that they incorporated within the sketch where you understand very quickly who all of these people are, that I really love about this. So Rich, what were your thoughts on it?
I've said it many times before. We've talked about it. I'm going to say it again. In this era, when you're trying to do political jokes that are commentary on the thing that just happened this week, SNL is always late to the party. It's always one step beyond. And it's so hard to say something that hasn't been said a million times. Where SNL shines in this century is calling out the thing that no one else is talking about at a more macro level. And this moment was exactly that. It was hilarious because everything you guys said, great writing, great performances, blah, 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 blah. Also, it was so relatable to so many of us. Whether you're the kid or you're the mom or you're the dad, you relate to this sketch. And that was such a perfect piece. So I thought it was great, so much so that when they were setting it up, like when she says, I want to do a rehearsal, in my head, I'm like, where is this going? Because this better pay off. And the payoff matched the setup. Not only did it match the setup, it matched what the character would think. Because if anyone knows someone who's starting to flag on their support of Trump, that's exactly like, I want to say this, but you're not allowed to react in any way possible. That was so perfect for me. On the Skarsgård piece, I'm sure I'm wrong, and we probably already know that I'm wrong, but when I was watching it, I thought this sketch was written in a prior week with a host who was going to play one of the kids on the couch, and they added the dad later because it was odd that we never find out what the dad thinks about what both the mom and the kids are saying about Trump. He just wants to get to Red Robin. So I thought, although I thought he had one of the funniest lines of the night when he said, your mom's got an old computer. She has a different internet than you. Like, just fantastic. This is great.
Laptop goals, yes.
Yeah. I think it was my sketch of the season. The only nitpick I would have is when she first says that she's changing her mind about Trump and the kids go crazy. I did not know if that's because they were pro-Trump and they were mad that she was leaving them, or that they were anti-Trump and they were mad that it took her this long. And it wasn't until Jane says it after the second line. She says, we've been saying this since 2016. Excuse me. I wish they would have said that right from the beginning. The first thing that the kids should have said when she said it is, we've been telling you this, so that we knew from the very beginning. But that said, I still think this is my sketch of the season. In everything you guys said, Ashley, fantastic.
I definitely want to ask Ashley if this was intended for this week in its creation. But I think the thing about Alexander is that, like, with his character here, like, there's a point where he's just on a side quest of his own where he doesn't care whether his wife is a Trump supporter, and he doesn't care if the kids are upset. He just wants her to dance for him later because it's his birthday, and that's how the kids were created in the first place. So there's this like extra thing that's there, and I think he plays it so well. And you know what? I was thinking when I was rewatching this, who he reminds me of as an SNL host. And just as an SNL host, like on the field, not off the field, so don't take this the wrong way, but he really reminds me a lot of James Franco. And he, in the sketches that he would do, like would be an incredible person to sort of like move the sketch forward and sort of like have these like side things going on. And I feel like he just like, he looked like him. He had a similar vibe. And I think that's what, you know, why he became a 4-time host, because he was so good at adding the cherry on top to an already good sketch. And I think that's what we got here. James, there was something else you wanted to say about this one.
Yeah, I think what everything Amanda and Rich said, God, is so spot on. I mean, since this is we're calling it the sketch of the season right now, we can spend just a little bit more time on it. But I think the reason why it's not what's the one you called out from the Washington, right?
Yeah.
Campfire one. Like Amanda hit it on the point. It is like the why 4 kids that are talking over top of each other and all screaming at the same time. Rich's point about not understanding until that comment. Those are the little nitpicky things that make this not quite as good as Washington, I think. But the question I wanted to ask my colleagues here is, why now? Like, I'm pleased that we had this sketch because I loved it, is the one I chose, but like it could have been on the season premiere. It could have been 2 weeks ago.
So my theory on this is because I do feel that it's timely, because I do think that what was happening in the news and some of the other late night shows were covering this was there was a lot of right-wing pro-gun people that were questioning the guy who had the gun who was murdered in Minnesota. And I think that they were like, all of a sudden there was this like, well, should people be allowed to have guns? And there was the hypocrisy was pointed out on other shows. And I do feel like that sort of inspires the whole like question, and you can sort of build out from there. So to me, it did feel timely.
I'm not saying that it's not. I'm just wondering what you all think in terms of why now. I'm just curious.
I would suspect that it was from an earlier time, because if it was written this week and if it was tweaked with up until Saturday, there's no way there's no Epstein mention in it. There's no way that she doesn't say, I'm starting to believe that Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein. Like, I feel like I guess the gun part, you're right. That, I mean, I'm not going to get into a back and forth about how I think there's been many points that the hypocrisy has been apparent, many points in time. Obviously, when it starts to be guns, you know, that's when maybe certain groups start to pay attention. Like, I think the NRA maybe was kind of like, hey, like he had a permit, but I agree. I don't know why now. I mean, I'm glad, and I hope that they can build upon it, because I do think that it's observational humor, and I do think it's like a macro observation of the time. I think it could have been done a lot sooner, and I hope that they'll think about that going forward.
I'll say from my anecdotal personal focus group, I think the timing was right, in that where we were feeling a lot of hypocrisy, people that I know were still like, yeah, whatever. I think that it took the last few weeks for people to start going, really? So for me, I think the timing was perfect.
Do you think those people related and felt seen by the sketch? They saw it and they were like, thank God for Ashley for representing us in this situation.
I think a lot of people are saying thank God for Ashley right now. So
yes,
yeah, this is another.
Thank you for letting me ask that, because we're all coming from different places, and I just was curious. It's enlightening.
Yeah, for sure. Rich, let me send it over to you for the next sketch we're going to talk about.
So interestingly, coming off the, in this sketch, one thing we didn't mention is, as the 4 kids on the couch, I was really impressed with Jane Wickline. I thought when they had the moment of the 4 kids so annoyed that other than Andrew had that great moment, Jane's facial reactions was actually making me laugh more than anybody. So I was very pleasantly pleased when we then go into our first pre-tape of the night, which is the Winter Olympics. And I thought this was a really great chance for Jane to shine. I think she's always been better in the pre-tape than the live sketches. Tonight, we had a really nice mix. I think this gave Jane a really nice showcase. Again, it's one joke. We're just basically turning one joke into an entire pre-tape. I didn't mind it because I felt like it almost was a character piece as much as it was a single joke sketch. We're not breaking any new. This is the idea that, everyone in the Winter Olympics, all the athletes are super excited except for Jane, who's on the luge because she feels like she's going to die. That is not new territory. We've heard that many times before, but I thought this was a really fun, almost her deadpanness. I just liked how she described, her prowess in this, where she says, I just go straight down like everyone, but I scream the whole time. Like there was like, I felt like her sensibility just blended so well into this premise. And it was a very Saturday Night Live sketch. Sometimes some of the stuff that they've done, it's aimed at people much younger than me. I respect that. I love that. But I felt like this was a Jane sketch for the, for Gen Z. That we said, a Gen X, I'm sorry, that we get that too. So I thought this was really fun.
It was really fun. And I think that part of the issue with Jane generally is that she is deadpan and fairly monotone in her delivery. And I think that's hard to grasp for people when you're not just talking like directly to them through your phone. When you're in the sketch format, it only works in certain senses. And I thought this was a great sketch. I thought her lines were all fantastic, especially when she starts off.
This is a nightmare. I hate the thing I'm good at.
And she'll go on to about, saying luge is just a height and weight distribution thing. And that's why I'm good at it. And I thought she had a brilliant night. I think this was by far her best episode as a cast member. We'll talk about some of her other moments in just a bit. But I have to say, I was pretty fairly critical of Jane in the past. I have never experienced what I'm experiencing with Jane with any cast member in SNL history, where 90% of the audience was ready to kick her to the curb. They were like, hey, we don't know why she was brought back. They were confused about the whole thing, and they didn't necessarily feel like she had the chops. And I think everyone is just eating their words right now, because I've never seen someone transform and just make the leap to feeling comfortable on the show the way she has so drastically. And it's fantastic. I am so happy for her, because this is what we were all rooting for when we said, like, we want her to be good on the show, but it took much longer than expected. And I'm just like fascinated with the major storyline we are seeing here, James, which is the development of Jane Wickline and her finding her place at Saturday Night Live. So how did you feel about that in this sketch?
Absolutely. What you and Rich said, 100% at that moment in the show, which is that's the first pre-tape after the mom's confession sketch, right? Mm-hmm. I'm at that moment going, this is Jane's best episode already. And there's more to come, as you alluded to. She wrote this, right?
Correct. Yeah, she wrote this with Mikey and Streeter. And
I just think it's perfect for her. It's a perfect outlet. It is the one joke, but there's enough. She pretends to be sick. The coach, there's a spider, pushes her down. It's perfect. We all talk about the luge and some of like, what the heck is this? This is a sport. And she's picked up on those new, I just think it's perfect for her. I can't say anymore.
Yeah. Amanda, are you as fascinated with this Jane Wickline story as I am? Because I really have never seen anything like it. I know that there's been a lot of cast members that people are excited about at first and then they get tired of, but never like vice versa. Never ones that come out that people are like, why? And then all of a sudden, everyone just gets behind them. It's crazy.
I did go on Reddit a little bit tonight. I don't know it seems like it's still a bit polarizing. I don't know. Maybe we'll have people kind of doing the mom's confession style confession about turning on Jane, turning on Jane in a good way down the line. I think that a lot of people have really dug their heels in, and it's going to take some time for our more, stubborn SNL stands to get on board. But I honestly think I don't want to pander to Lorne Michaels and be like, oh, they knew what they were doing all along. I think what was really hard was like losing someone like Emil Joaquin, who we really loved and wanted to see on the show, and then having Jane stay when I feel like she didn't have that many standout moments last year. What I think is really working for her is like the girl group that we have now. Like when she's in a sketch with Sarah, Chloe, Veronica, who am I missing?
Ashley.
But I feel like Ashley's like sometimes playing like the mom or the lead. Like when like they're playing like kind of like a group of girls, I feel like
Sarah.
Jane, I hope I said Sarah. So yeah, those like Jane often gets off like she has like the best line here and there. Like it'll be short, it'll be punchy, it'll be a one-off. But I feel like in a lot of those situations, the girls have a ton of the women, but they're playing young girls. I'm picturing in my head, so that's why I'm saying girls. But they have a ton of chemistry, and Jane just has like managed to like have this like kind of like comedic relief role even within a sketch, which is really incredible. I loved this sketch. I wish that there was a little bit more escalation. Like I was like thinking like she doesn't want to be competing. Like why don't you like kidnap her from her bedroom? Like how, you know, if she really doesn't want to be there, how did she get up to the top? Like I feel like there were ways to escalate on the premise. I didn't understand that it was the premise. I almost like wanted Alexander Skarsgård to have like a really strong like Swedish accent or something. Like I feel like it was like there were ways to take it up a notch, but the concept and the execution I loved. And I also thought that Chloe and Marcelo were really funny as like quintessential like young Olympians like on the rise. Like I thought that and they really helped make the contrast. Like they were like, you know, saying like really cliche like Olympic dream things, and Jane just was like, I don't want to be here. Like I thought that was just a really good juxtaposition, so it really worked for me.
And also you made me think, well, I'm picturing it, Amanda, as you're talking, sorry John, but just the amazing editing and overlay that makes the package look exactly like an NBC reel. You know what I mean? Like that's just expected almost, right? Because they're so good, and you just, you know, we're just commenting on the comedy, but wow, there's just talent there to make everything look and feel so real.
Yeah, and apparently this was based on a real commercial for the Olympics, actually. So it was really well done by everybody involved. I think that this probably can go to a larger conversation that we could have another day, but it sort of goes to show you with Jane, who's now 32 episodes into her career as a cast member, that not everyone is a phenom like Ashley that can come out and sort of has that groundlings experience and pick things up pretty quickly and then build, you know, much quicker. Like we are maybe sometimes too quick to judge overall. And it really leads me to feel that now that we're down to 16 cast members, that this wouldn't have happened if we had 18, 19, 21 cast members. You think about all of the people in the last like 8 or 9 years where we were having higher numbers of cast members that were removed from this show before they were able to finally figure it out. Like think about, you know, Aristotle or Molly or Lauren Holtz, like all of these people who maybe just didn't pick up exactly to the best way to find their voices on Saturday Night Live. And had they been given more leash with less cast members, they would have found their way. And I think part of that is more room to breathe, but also part of that is the camaraderie that you build within a cast when you are less people. It just becomes more cliquey, more groups when you have more people. And I think that, you know, like we said, there's only 5 women, and we, of course, you know, want there to be many more and different types of people on the show. But I think that there's something to be said about the fact that, you know, they have each other's backs and maybe want Jane to find her voice on the show. So I think this is a wonderful development, and I'm really excited to see what we're going to get from Jane moving forward. Let's keep going, Amanda, and talk about the sketch that you want us to dive into.
So I want to talk about the Playdate sketch, not because it was my favorite sketch of the night, because I'm still working out how I feel about it, but I've been thinking about it a lot. So I'm hoping that you three can help me work out why I'm thinking about it a lot. I think that I'm really drawn to the chemistry between Veronica, Jane, Sarah, and Chloe that I'm picking up on, and Ashley. And I guess this is literally what I was just speaking about. Ashley's there, but she's the mom. She's not like part of like the group of girls. And you know, she's not in Snack Homies, which I feel like is where I guess neither is Sarah. They have such good chemistry, and they've been like really there've been a lot of like women, the female cast centric sketches like this. And I'm just really fascinated that I think that in this sketch, Jane pulled off the biggest laugh of the night, from as far as I could tell, when she said, stop asking her if she knows things. And it's like, so do you have it? Can you play it?
I do. Yeah. I'll play that for everybody.
Stop asking her if she knows stuff.
That was like the best line read of the night. Why though? It's like so.
It's night and day compared to the Sensitive Strippers sketch, where I think they tried to put her in this role, Amanda, and she couldn't pull it off, or whatever was working with the cue cards. Like there was something going on. This was incredible.
It was so good. I also thought Alexander Skarsgård was really good in this sketch. I thought that he was really down to clown. I needed to bring this up because I cannot believe that they put braces on this man. That is like above and beyond from the costume people. I can't remember the last time there were braces like that, and they were so subtle. And I don't really know what they were going for in that, like what was wrong with her, this character that Alexander Skarsgård was playing. Like, was she a grown man that was also a young girl? I don't know, but I just really liked it. I don't think it fully hit for me, but there's something about it that really charmed me. I thought that Ashley was really good. I thought Veronica was really good. I thought Sarah was really good. It didn't fully come together for me, but I really like it, and I wanted to talk through it with you three. So,
Rich, what did you think of the Playdate sketch?
Well, I will agree. I mean, a lot to like in this. A lot of funny moments, a lot of good performances. Sarah was really fun in this. And I will agree. I really appreciated that Alexander really threw himself into this full-throated. I think what you thought of Alexander in this sketch probably determines what you thought of the sketch and maybe what you thought of the night. While I appreciated his effort, I did not laugh at him in this sketch once. I thought this was a sketch for a sketch performer to play or a seasoned host. I felt like they were going for echoes of Jim Carrey in Living Color. I think we're well past the point where dressing a man as a woman or a girl is in and of itself funny. It can be funny if there's more to it. And I think him yelling wasn't that much more to it. I think Andrew Dismukes could have done it and done something funny with it. So it wasn't for me. I thought there was a lot to like. And again, I go back to, I'm now a broken record, but it's come up again. I do believe when you're a first-time host, if you're not from sketch comedy, be the crazy person in about a third of the sketches. Be the straight person or a very supporting role like he did in the Mom Confessional sketch. Had some great lines, very well delivered as a supporting character in 2/3 of the sketches. And I think the whole second half, from after we come out of, even before that, he was playing the crazy person in every sketch. And I don't think he was great, nor could he have been, because even when Jon Hamm first hosted, he wasn't the crazy person until the second to the last sketch of the night. And that was Jon Hamm's Jon Hamm when he's playing a normal person reading very funny lines. He's playing himself. So I think that's a mistake that that hosts are making, and maybe
was that Hamm and Bubbly?
That was the second time.
That was another. That was the second
that was
time.
it. Okay.
And he also played anyway. But then he came back in his second episode and he played the crazy person a lot because he had one show under his belt. He kind of got the feel. He got the sense of the cue cards, the timing of the live audience, and he could sort of make a lot of those moves. I think we need to see that again more. We don't need to see anything. I do believe it is in a host's best interest, and I think this was a sketch that was an example of that, where I would rather have seen him play a dad in this sketch or some other male character and let someone else do the heavy lifting, and then I think everything else delivers.
I'm completely with you on this. I was looking at the rundown of the show, and I do feel like they went Agnes, the Playdate sketch, Tarzan, and then Cards Against Humanity, where he is sort of the core focus of the sketch. And I think that they would have been better served to mix that up, so it doesn't just feel like we have to completely focus on him as a host the entire time for the back half of the show. And sometimes, I mentioned this with Tiana last week, sometimes I feel like they placate to like which sketches does the host want to do, and sometimes they
they had to get his braces and all that stuff on. That's the placement of this one.
Well, that's not, yeah, but I don't have a problem with that. But then they do Tarzan and then they do Cards Against Humanity. So it's just the back to back of it all, James. Like, it's not even like, oh, they needed the long break. So of course I understand putting this post update, but it's very samey. So let me get
gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think first off, I will say about the episode generally that nothing got really low marks for me. Like, there's almost usually something, and a lot of times there's two somethings or more that it just like don't work for me. And even though this one, great choice as Amanda, after we talked about some heavy hitters, because for me, there's two things. One we didn't even talk about yet, but the line from Jane was brilliant because of the delivery, but also because of I don't know who Bluey is. I have no idea who Harry Styles is. And then they're going to ask another thing. And she's like, so the way that it was constructed was really, really good. Speaking of constructing, the prop team had, I can't choose them to be the VIPs because we choose a cast member. But let's be honest, the Sarah dummy or dummies, plural in this one, the last one is actually holding a pizza. And did you notice that the one scene where Sarah is like walking off, he grabs her and the dummy comes like from that wall over there? I mean, it was like, usually you see that little error of another person or, and it was done so well. Props, Sarah Dummy, Frozen Pigeon on Update, Cards Against Humanity coat, Tarzan model, right? I mean, like the prop team, this episode, they threw down.
Yeah, they definitely did. And I do think that was funny with the dummies. We did see some dummies earlier in the season, I think in that like dancer sketch where they ended up like having Sarah and Chloe in the audience.
My point is, I can't think of a time where I enjoyed the fact that they kept doing that. They just kept doing it.
I enjoyed that they kept doing it. It almost felt like a different sketch to me. Like it felt like it was like completely separate from the whole thing. Where it's like we almost need to distract from the writing of the sketch to this like big moment where she's gonna throw these dummies out the window. And and that's the tough thing is like sometimes I feel like those moments are really funny, but they distract from the quality of the writing a little bit when we're just admiring how big of a moment those were. But yeah, of course, the props department and the timing of it, where Sarah has to walk out of frame at that moment and then they grab the dummy immediately, was really well done.
And I'm not always a fan of breaking.
I was going to say, the truth is there was really hardly any premise to this. The premise of the sketch was we've put him in an outfit and he's getting mad. So I'm not surprised they went to the physical comedy to escalate because there was really nowhere else to go.
Yeah, exactly.
And though I'm not a fan of Rich just calls it like he sees it, and I enjoy it. You're absolutely right. I think everybody noticed it. I'm not always a huge fan of breaking, but Chloe's breaking, and you guys catch it too, was just kind of cute. Just the way she was.
I admired it because I think she was trying not to break. I think Sarah's breaking in the mom's confession sketch wasn't my favorite because I think she was just sort of playing it loose, and that I prefer less. But yeah, Amanda, did you want to put a closing line on this one, the Playdate sketch?
No.
Okay.
I told you I needed to work out what I think that, okay, my closing line is, it was excellent workshopping. I needed a little bit more of a premise, like why Alexander's character was the way he was, but like that, as I'm saying that wades into dangerous territory. So I'm not really sure what the premise would have been. I liked the idea. I liked the props, and I just really wanted to highlight Jane and how Jane is able to stick out in this group of female cast members. And I think that if you have Heidi and Ego still around, you don't get this group developing this chemistry. So it's been really interesting to see.
Correct. All right, the sketch I want to dive into is the Cards Against Humanity sketch that we got the last of the night. And Rich sort of took the words out of my mouth, so I'll keep it pretty brief here. But essentially, you get all these friends that are together on some weekend trip, and then we're going to get Sarah playing Jessica, who's going to bring her boyfriend, Alexander, who's playing Dave, there, and he's the most hilarious guy in the group. But you could see right away that he's looking at these sort of cards in his hands and from the audience perspective, but the group doesn't notice that he is reading jokes off the cards, and that's how he became the funny boyfriend. And I was just like fascinated with this sketch because eventually he's going to get up, all the cards are going to fall out. It reveals the whole thing and they're all upset about it. It's really simple on paper. This is the type of sketch that I think crushes if Andrew Dismukes is in Alexander's role. And I said that on Saturday, and I'm like, that was my only thing, which is I think on paper, this was so funny. I just didn't think that he was perfect for this. So it was driving me nuts for like 2 days as I was trying to figure it out. And then we were looking in some of our archives, and we noticed that for the Oscar Isaac episode, there was a sketch, Cards Against Humanity. And we went back to listen to some of the descriptions of that sketch that was cut from Dress. And it was a very similar sketch, except it took place at a restaurant. And, someone, Oscar Isaac, got up and all the cards fell out. Except the commonality between the two sketches was that all of the cast members who were in that first one, they are no longer on the show. The two people that are still there are Andrew and James. So I actually spoke to James today, and I asked him, James Austin Johnson, what, like, if this was a punch up of the previous sketch, and he said it was. So this is a sketch written by Andrew and James Austin Johnson. And they wrote it in James's first season, and they brought it back for this episode. So I obviously, it wasn't an interview. I'm not going to get into all the details with him. I was just really happy to hear from him very briefly, and thank you to JJ. But I would love to know, why not put Andrew in this role? Like, are we just sort of like being like, hey, the host is here so they can take this one? Because Rich, as you said, like, this felt to me like a layup if we got the right person in this role.
Yeah, it's a performance sketch. It's the premise is mildly amusing at best. And to James's point earlier, Cards Against Humanity, why now? Like, it doesn't even, like, I didn't even know that was still a thing. So, but I imagine this would have been a tour de force for Dismukes. It could have been such a great character piece. And I think had they done it with Andrew in the lead and Alexander as one of the friends, it gets cuts at Dress.
But James, do you feel like maybe they don't get it on if the host isn't in this role, as Rich just said?
They might not this week because of that very thing, right? I mean, I would imagine, knowing what we saw in Alexander's sort of goofiness and wanting to be silly, that he liked the idea of the coat. Again, because it's a physical thing, the funny haha moments, the prop team made that happen. I mean, did you see how many effing cards were spilling out everywhere? I mean, and they just like kept falling from different crevices and everything. So yeah,
and I'll give Skarsgård credit for being able to work that coat prop wise, as far as when the cards came out. That's very difficult, I believe, and I thought he did a very good job of that, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But John, I had no idea. I did not think like you did on this, that if that was played by Andrew Dismukes, this would probably be one of my favorite sketches of the season.
It just felt like such a natural
role. It would take on a
him.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, because we haven't seen him do this that much this season, but it feels like he's the guy who gets really embarrassed by doing something in the group. And that would have really clicked for me. I saw Jack in the chat was asking who was in that sketch from season 47. This was from March of 2022. And it featured Heidi Ego and Bowen alongside Andrew James and Oscar Isaac. And this one, we had replacements in this sketch. But I just thought it was interesting that they brought this back. They punched it up a little bit, but I would have preferred it sort of flipped. Amanda, your thoughts on this one?
I think that you have Alexander Skarsgård kill this from a dramatic acting perspective. Like, I think he absolutely sold it. He was yelling. He was doing the whole monologue about his past and how he grew up a normie. And I think that he did it really well dramatically. He just, you need a little bit step further. You need the comedic chops to be able to rein it in and take the beats when you need to take the beats, and like maybe have like a little bit more of the like Dismukes like cuck vibe. Like, I think it's probably hard to buy into the premise when he's this ginormous, handsome man. Like, not that Andrew isn't also the tall one in the band, and but I think that Alexander really played it like a Skarsgård. Like, it was like a dramatic monologue, but the comedy fell short. Like, I don't think that he didn't sell it. I didn't think that he didn't put his whole heart into it. He definitely
100%.
did. He didn't break. He was fully in character, but just the comedy was missing. And that's important.
Yeah, he's like a tall Swedish bland guy. And just a note on this, and then I want to get James.
He's not a bland guy, but yes.
Well, like in the sketch, I felt like he was fairly bland, but I'm not saying he's a bland guy generally, but it felt bland to me compared to what we could have gotten from some other people in the room. But yeah, there was a sketch we talked about on Saturday that was cut at dress that didn't actually feature Alexander in it. It was more focused around Colin Jost, and he was in that sketch, the Epstein Barr virus sketch that got cut at dress. So it was interesting that they chose not to put that in the show. And I guess, with it's always risky getting something so close to the show that doesn't have the host in it. But that one didn't make it. And obviously they chose to focus very much so on the host in the back half of the episode. James, your final thoughts?
Yeah, one more point I want to make on this one. So you three, turn your mics on. And when I point at you, say, dude, you need Jesus. Ready? Yada, 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 yada. Who do you think I am? Hitler's hairy butt crack?
Who are you pointing at?
Go first. I don't know who you're pointing at.
Dude,
You can't point in a podcast.
Dude,
you need Jesus.
You need Jesus.
So that was the ending of this sketch, which is not the best ending ever, but it worked. And here's my point. If you take a moment and think about this, you might disagree, Rich. There was nothing in this episode that didn't have an ending. Everything had a satisfying end, and that's what SNL is almost always known for, or at least one or two bombs in there that just like trail off at the end. There was a closing moment on every sketch, I felt, except for "And Alive from New York" at Saturday.
Yes, that's fair. I gotta just point out that what you could have pointed in any direction from where you're sitting except for straightforward, and it would have pointed at us. But you went like this, and
True.
we all didn't know who you were pointing to. But yeah, that was great, James. Okay, let's do some rapid fire before we wrap up our thoughts on this episode. Amanda, anything else from this episode you want to touch on briefly? Amanda.
I know. Sorry. Come back to me. I'm thinking.
Okay. No problem. Rich, anything on this episode that we didn't touch on yet?
Weekend update. Sarah Sherman, fantastic. So much fun. But Dismukes and Ashley doing the two people who just hooked up. Just fantastic. I mean, and this is one where it could have been, oh my God, it's the same thing. We've already seen this before. We're seeing it again. This is a repeat, but I thought it just was so great. Their performances, the two of them together. And I like that we haven't seen them together a ton, where it just feels like, it feels like the two of the Ashley and Andrew show lately, because they had been doing a lot together, but to bring them back again, the performance, the writing, everything about this was so great. So I thought really good weekend update, both features. Everyone was great, especially those two. It was great.
Oh, there's so many good things about it. I think you're going to always talk about that first one because it's just seeing the two of them together just was like so cool to get the chemistry on screen. But they waited up 8 episodes. They brought it back. This was my favorite thing from Update the first time we saw it, like up until basically Jeremy last week. And I just think it's so great. You think about Ashley at the start of this episode and the way she played that mom, the range at which she can go from playing the mom that's just like passive aggressive to the flirty woman in this sketch.
Not since Jason.
I'm sorry, who is Jason? He's a player?
You could say that.
And what we said about Ashley when we started to realize how great she is just that when you have someone who's so good at Saturday Night Live, they tend to make everyone around them better. That's what you got with the all-time greats. That's what you got with Phil Hartman, with Will Ferrell. This is what you get with Ashley, because I think that Andrew next to Ashley is so fantastic. I'll play this line.
Everybody wants to go for 7, but sometimes it's better to take the 3.
You don't get Andrew taking those pauses in sentences when he's not next to Ashley Padilla, and he does it to follow her lead, and he is great on his own, but next to her, there is some magic there. I thought that was so fantastic. Obviously, Sarah Sherman, great to see her as well. I thought it was very creative, so really wonderful to get her there. I will just play one thing from Sarah on Update that I thought we will not forget from this episode, as she is outside and she says,
You ordered me.
heard not one woo in the audience.
Just an all-time great moment there. Just to take off her dress, and the audience dead silence as she takes off her coat outside.
And by the
great
way, to
weekend
that point, we were talking before that we started rolling. If Sarah Sherman was interviewed by Mike Birbiglia on his Working It Out podcast, and she talked about the Weekend Update pieces. A must listen if you're a fan. She was so gracious about the writers and the props and the sound, how it is really a team effort to make these successful. Couldn't recommend it more if you haven't heard that part.
Yeah, very, very good stuff there. A fantastic interview. James, anything on your rapid fire list you want to get into?
The Weekend Update things you guys hit are, I don't know if you guys are like this, but rare is it that both or all, whatever the word would be, guest correspondence
Features,
all worked for me. Yeah, those features, both of them I just thought were incredible. The seafood boil that you got, I listened to your hot take show, right? And you guys were talking about that. And if you have not seen Sarah Sherman live do her stand-up, the seafood boil, that is very low compared to where she really goes, just so you know. And I loved the thing about the Patriots, two people who just hooked up, Patriots and Seahawks, it just kept escalating. Like at the end when it was like Patriots start on top and come from behind and all that, like it just kept getting better. So I love that. Last thing I'll say as we're sort of wrapping up on this stuff is, John, you are not alone on the Jane Wickline first reaction. I mean, I was doing the same thing where some of the folks that got let go at the between the two seasons here and Jane stayed was kind of like, okay, what's going on here? I mean, we know who your parents are, Jane, but and it's not that I didn't think that she was funny. I just didn't know that the show is right for her. And I work with there's a lot of people that I talk to about SNL at work who are, they're 20 some years younger than I, and they love Jane. And I love that idea of us. Like, I just like to hear what it is that gets them going. Before this episode, it was the two things that I kind of were like, was the Marcelo and Jane, the boyfriend, the girlfriend thing, right? That they've done a couple times. Right. And then was it the first show of the new year, the resolutions, the buttons?
Mm-hmm. Yes. When you played the TikTok one.
Yeah. I loved that. And then this episode there's just so many, even the clapboard. Scene one.
Yeah. Here, this one.
Thanks for the family. Scene 14. Tag world.
Yeah.
I'm turning. I'm liking
Yeah,
Jane.
I think we all are. I think it's a fantastic development. Amanda, I'll head back to you again for your anything else on your list you got. Oh, I cannot hear you, Amanda. I don't know if you unplugged your microphone or not. But in the meantime, while we're waiting for Amanda to come back to us.
Back?
You're back. All right, let's go. Yeah.
Okay, real quick. I think we covered Pete Davidson sufficiently. I think we just have to give props to Stellan Skarsgård. And also, I originally thought that the first version of Scent of a... What was the first? This is Stench of a Family. The first one was Scent of a Marriage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Scent of a Woman.
I know. Let's say that's the real movie, or Scenes from Marriage. I think it's that. But I think that it's loosely based off Sentimental Value, which is like my film of the year. So like incredible, Stellan, incredible. So fun to see him in this. I would like to see him host maybe one day. That just wanted to make sure we mentioned that.
Yeah, it was very cool. You don't often get father-son pairings on Saturday Night Live. You like think of. Yeah, go ahead.
I should say, where was Bill? Where was Bill? I know there are like lots of Skarsgårds, but I really love Bill, so put him in.
Yeah, it doesn't happen very often, and especially it's also very unique in that we get like a lot of Mother's Day related content, and that SNL doesn't air on Father's Day. So we don't usually get the cast members' fathers or Father's Day related sketches. I thought it was cool to have a Father's
You got
Day
enough.
sketch. Yeah.
Men.
If I could be Lauren for a second, you put Stench of a Family at the very end of the show. Let Stellan's first cameo be in the Marcelo Hernandez sketch, which was way funnier of a cameo, and then put Stellan in the Stench of a Family sketch as a character, but have James Austin Johnson play Stellan Skarsgård, and then have Stellan Skarsgård play someone else in the sketch. So there, I'm just rewriting.
You know, I was thinking about your cameo rules when I saw in back-to-back sketches we got him.
So wasted. In. So, and it was so obvious he was going to be in Stench of a Family, the way they set up the dad and the But the immigrant talk show would have been a way better place to drop him in, because that was super funny. So anyway,
yeah,
great to see.
And great pull by Urban in the chat, who mentions that Dan Levy was in the 900th episode, and Eugene Levy was in that little glass box in the monologue, as we got that one too.
Good
so that's
call.
That's a great call. 100 episodes ago. I will just say quickly for my rapid fire that my favorite line of the episode was in a sketch we didn't talk about, but just James just killed me with this.
That's very funny, Sven the Rapist.
It was so throwaway in just like a very odd sketch, but just crushed it here. I think James had another great episode and honestly a great run these last few. So let's do MVPs for this one. So we asked and you voted all day long on your MVP for episode 12 of season 51. I'll go through the rundown. We had 9 sketch appearances from Alexander. We got his father Stellan on the show. We got appearance from Pete Davidson in the cold open, Jack McBrayer on Weekend Update. Jack, who's very good friends with Alexander Skarsgård, I believe is maybe the godfather to his children. Something I read that. So cool story there. Cardi B, 2 performances, was in a sketch in the Immigrant Dad talk show. We got 6 sketches from Andrew and Sarah from the repertory players, 4 sketches from Mikey and Chloe, 3 from James, 2 from Keenan and Marcelo. For the feature players, Ashley Padilla in 5 sketches, Jane in 4, 2 from Tommy, Jeremy, Ben, and Veronica. Shutout was Cam Patterson. So, Amanda, who do you think the top 3 MVP vote getters were for week number 12?
I think Jane, Ashley, and then I'm torn between Cardi B and Sarah Sherman.
Okay. All right. There you go. I'll take it. Rich, who do you think the 3 are?
I think Ashley number 1, Jane 2. The Cardi B factor is hard. I'm gonna go Sarah 3rd.
Okay. And James, what do you think?
Oh, you're muted, James.
Who'd you have first, Rich?
Ashley. I went Ashley, Jane, Sarah.
Right. Okay. And who did you have, man? I'm just curious. I have mine.
It's not like a huge competition.
I had Jane, Ashley, Sarah. Yeah, Sarah/Cardi, which John's letting me squeak.
No,
through.
I've been thinking about this a lot all day, and the definition of MVP, well, is most valuable player. So I think I have. So I'm going to go 3rd place. I've got Jane. 2nd place, it was tough. It's going to be Ashley. And 1st, I believe she was in 6 sketches. Sarah, her update thing, she played the play date dummy thing. She was the best to play that. She was Jane and Tarzan. She was Alexander's significant other twice, right?
Yeah.
And I do think when the kids in Mom's Confession had their first reaction face, hers scrunched up was so real. Anyway, I'm going with Sarah Sherman in 1st.
Okay, let's see who is right, because one of you chose Jane as number 1, one of you chose Ashley as number 1, and one of you chose Sarah as number 1. And with 34% of the vote, the MVP for week number 12 is Jane Wickline. So congratulations to Jane. She's never been higher than 3rd on this poll in her 1.5 seasons, and she finally does it. She's the MVP for week number 12. I think people are really excited to get behind her and everything that she did here. Her best episode as a cast member, but great points across the board, as we do have Ashley Padilla coming in 2nd place with 25 25% of the vote. Sarah Sherman in third place with 22% of the vote. And then the father-son duo of Alexander and Stellan Skarsgård coming fourth and fifth, with Alexander, our host, 8% of the vote, and Stellan with 3% of the vote. So that is your top five: Jane, Ashley, Sarah, Alexander, and Stellan Skarsgård. All right. Very exciting week. This was a blast to get to talk through this episode with you. Our next episode of Saturday Night Live will be airing in 3 weeks' time, where Connor Story from Heated Rivalry will be here to host the show. One of the quickest, probably rags to riches hosts we've ever had on Saturday Night Live. If you start to think about who was not really a big celebrity prior to just blowing up really big and then now being booked for the show, definitely a unique situation. Kind of like Regé-Jean Page a little bit that we had, but it's definitely a unique situation we have here, Amanda, with Connor Story coming to host the show. It will be pandemonium in the studio. Are you excited?
It's going to be pandemonium. I can't think. I haven't seen a reaction like this online. This is insane. Like the fact that 6 weeks ago I had no idea who this person was, and like right now it's he and his co-star are all anyone can talk about is crazy. I have no idea how he's going to do on Saturday Night Live because I know nothing about him outside of his incredible performance in Heated Rivalry, but that is literally all that I have to go off of. I think that this is his first major role. It's going to be crazy. I mean, also pairing him with Mumford & Sons is just amazing. Like just an insane time capsule moment. I love Mumford & Sons. I love Marcus Mumford. I'm extremely excited for Mumford & Sons, but it's going to be crazy. It's absolutely nuts. And they're, obviously going to have to go back and tap the Heated Rivalry well, which they did in the Finn Wolfhard episode, I think, pretty sufficiently. So that's going to be interesting to revisit that, a month and a half later after the Olympics. I'm not sure if the Heated Rivalry mania will have cooled down or not at that point. Like, we're a month out, but it'll be really interesting to see how he fares as a host, setting aside the mass hysteria that has been drummed up for this person and this television show. Very interesting to watch from, an analyst perspective.
When he was on Late Night with Seth Meyers a couple of weeks ago, just lines in the streets for people to snap a picture of Connor's story.
The Beatles. It's crazy.
It's very crazy. I went through the archives to look up hosts that weren't really like big stars and then made it big off the first season of a TV show and then hosted Saturday Night Live. So I'm sorry, it sort of filtered out anybody who had a major career before this. So again, closest comparison is maybe Regé-Jean Page. The other ones I wrote down, Zooey Deschanel hosting for New Girl in 2012, Jason Lee hosting for My Name is Earl in 2005, and then Courtney Cox hosting for Friends in 95, and George Clooney hosting for ER in 95. But some of them sort of had careers or were known for things. Obviously, Courtney with Bruce Springsteen. Like there's like little things that were known before about these people. This feels like definitely one of the more unique out of nowhere stories that we've ever had on the show. It'll be very cool to see what happens. Rich, are you excited for the next episode?
I love that you would think I had any idea who the heck Connor Story was. When they put up that graphic, they might as well have just put, "Hey, old person, you have no idea who this is." Now, I do know what Heated Rivalry is, but I didn't know who that was. So I don't think it even clicked for me until I think Victoria posted in our chat. And I was like, oh, this must be one of the Heated Rivalry guys. So fourth show in a row, first time host from drama who hasn't done sketch comedy, Connor. Not that you're listening to me, I'm sure you're saying, okay, boomer. Only be the crazy person in a third of the sketches. It will serve you well. You will get asked back sooner. Promise me. But yeah, I love a good teen idol. I love when the audience goes crazy. I love that energy. This is a live television show. It doesn't matter when you're on late night, when you're on podcasts, when you're on sketch, other stuff. This is live television. So that energy is so infectious and so fun. So I'm really looking forward to it, even though James could actually be Connor Story right now, and I wouldn't know. But I'm excited to see who he is and what he is and the reaction to it. It should be good stuff.
John,
Yes.
I wish you could change my name at the bottom of the screen right now to Connor Story, but I think it should be required conversation for any new hosts to sit down with Rich Tackenberg to just have the lessons learned properly.
I'll set up Zoom links for any new host who wants to pick a time for sure. I'm happy to do it.
Yeah. Rich, James, any thoughts on Connor coming to host the show?
I'm sorry, that's not my name.
Connor, any thoughts?
Well, two things. One, the next episode is what you asked about, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Not specifically. I spend often time trying to imagine how different our world might be if Mumford had no children. So we'll have this reminder again for the next episode. But the thing about Connor's story is I can't think of a time where so many people that I never hear from or don't typically regularly hear from texting me, messaging me, going, I am so excited for Connor's story to host. Like it's insanity.
It is. And I saw this got brought up in the chat. This was my last note that I had for Connor's story. He apparently took groundlings classes before.
Oh.
So he has improv experience.
Okay.
Which is
all right.
Which is exciting. So that is something.
I'd like to know what level he made it through, but that's great. That's
he's like 22. So and like was in Texas. Is there groundlings in Texas?
No, this was in LA that he took the groundlings.
Yeah.
He wasn't in LA very long.
That's a good sign. That's a very good sign.
So if he's done groundlings and he talks to Rich Tackenberg before he hosts, this is going to be a good show.
Yeah. So this could be very exciting. I'm definitely pumped. Mumford & Sons, I think we haven't seen them for a while, but I think Marcus Mumford was there when Carrie Mulligan hosted a few years back, and he was in that monologue. So that was very cool. It should be a very fun episode to cover. So of course we will be here to cover it for the full week, and I'm sure there will be a lot of fans tuning into the show that don't normally tune in. So it should be an exciting week as an SNL fan to watch this one. Before we get there, we still have more coverage of this episode, including Wednesday night, where I will be back with Mike Murray to break down all of the screen time and statistics on Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where we will break this all down and talk about the power rankings after 12 weeks. We will also have up on Wednesday our 20 years later look back podcast at the show that aired in 2006 at this time, and that was Prince as the musical guest with Steve Martin as the host. Just an epic episode. So I'm excited to go through that one with Sammy and have that up on Patreon and on YouTube for all of our members. And then next Monday night, we will be here for our feedback show. So for those up on Patreon or those who want to join Patreon, patreon.com/the SNL Network, we'll have the form up tomorrow to register for our feedback show next Monday night, where we will talk about everything from the last few episodes of SNL and look forward to Connor's story and more episodes of Saturday Night Live, February into March. Amanda, thanks for joining us here tonight.
Thanks all. This was a lot of fun. I can't believe that it's only 9:48 p.m. on the East Coast and we're wrapping up the podcast. We're like 5 hours behind what I'm used to this year. So really interesting. What am I going to do after this? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to do a lot more in the post show, but thank you for Amanda for your thoughts, and great to get you on a roundtable. Rich, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
Of course. Love it. Thanks for having me. This was great.
Yeah. Anything going on? Any storytelling?
If you're in LA, February 19th, doing a great show called Story Collider at KPCC Studios. Tickets are on sale. That's with a crazy good lineup. So if you're in the LA area, check us out.
Yes, and Connor Story or James Stevens, thank you for joining us here on the show tonight. Seriously, a blast, buddy, to get you back on a roundtable and have you live with us.
Absolutely. I couldn't remember how we did this and didn't know if I needed to show my passport or not. But I love that I was
glad that you're allowed to be here.
I love that I was with Amanda and Rich, and you didn't pair me with one of the other weirdos. I'm just kidding. I love everybody, but Amanda and Rich, I put on the highest of levels. Don't forget everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live. We're going to be bringing the next one out soon. So everybody out there, do yourself a favor during the time off, and you can watch the 24 of those we've released, John. That's a lot.
It's a lot, but we have many more coming. So we're looking forward to sharing those all with you. And to never miss any of those episodes or any episodes of our podcast, you can subscribe to the podcast, YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. You can also follow us at the SNL Network to see any of our posts on social media. We'll have a lot of stuff cooking for the off weeks coming up, maybe some Olympic theme posts as we look ahead to what's happening over the next few weeks. I want to thank Late Nighter for being the presenting partner for our show here, and Amanda, Rich, and James for joining us on the podcast, and really a fantastic live audience that we had here on this Monday night. Appreciate everybody sticking with us. Amanda, do you want to jump in on something?
Oh, no, that was an accident.
Okay, no problem. All right. Well, on behalf of everyone here at the SNN, my name is Jon Schneider, and we will see you next time. Have a good one.